Hey, here we are on Brunch with Brian, and we're in the studio today. So I want to teach you about the cash flow deal timeline. Now, this is the kind of deal we call our pre-funded deal. There's a lot of different names for this kind of deal, but it's a deal that will cash flow for you and make you a lot of money over time. So sometimes we call these cash flow. Again, buy and hold is a common term for these type of deals, but we love the seller financing pre-funded type of these deals where you're not going out and getting new financing. So this is a timeline that actually takes you through the whole deal. And I'm going to go through it with you so that you guys understand exactly how these cash flow deals work. We're so excited about these deals. These are the kind of deals that are really hopping right now. And I want you to understand what we call 16 days to a big payday. Now that's if you use a 1 hour open house selling strategy. You should be picking up a big check at the end of your 1 hour open house. So that's part of the strategy. We're going to start up down on that end, and we're going to go through exactly the different strategies here I want you guys to be aware of and the different steps of this deal. So right here where you're starting on day one, that's your closing call. So that's you making a closing call to the seller, talking to the seller, making the deal happen. So that's day one, and let's just put that on a Friday. Let's just sort of assume, or let's pretend that's Friday. Let's say, and you know what? Friday is a good day to make those calls. Friday leading into Saturday, we like to call Saturday deal meeting Saturday. So we like to do a lot of deal meetings on Saturday. Saturday is a really good day. So let's say you talk to the seller on Friday, and then Saturday you're going out there buying the house. So again, the whole point of the closing call is to work out the 4 pretty house deal points as much as possible, and then get an appointment to get out there for the deal meeting. So remember, on the closing call, your deal meeting appointments, your 4 deal meeting points are purchase price, monthly payment, length of term, and down payment. So you can't always figure everything out on that closing call, but that's the goal. And so if you make that, and then when you go out to the deal meeting, if you've done that properly, then the deal meeting is just a matter of getting the paperwork signed. You've already agreed on every aspect of the deal. Now, a lot of times these properties are going to be in really good shape, but over this time span, which might be like Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, for instance, you are going to be getting the property inspected if you think it needs it. Now, a lot of times these properties do not need inspection. They're already in good shape. And when I say inspection, I don't even mean like a real inspector who would go out there. You would pay an official inspection. I'm talking about maybe your handyman or your general contractor who does rehabs, depending on what level you're at and who actually works with you. Okay, so if you have a team with a good rehab, with a good GC, general contractor, or handyman, they can do that inspection. And sometimes you're going to go out on the deal meeting and it's going to be fine. The house will look good, and it'll be a newer house, and you can pretty much tell, especially if you've been around houses, that okay, this is barring any unpleasant surprises, this thing is in really good shape. But most of the time, guys, your properties you can take them at face value. But if you do want to do any additional inspection, that's this time span right here. While what's happening is the title is getting ordered. So this title is ordered immediately right here. So on the day, as soon as you get the signed contract. Now, the way I have this laid out, you've got the signed contract on a Saturday. So if you get a signed contract on a Saturday, you're not going to be able to get the title back. You're not going to be able to order the title till Monday. And then you'll probably get it back hopefully by Wednesday or Thursday. So let's say you get the title back, for our example here, let's assume you get the title back on Thursday. So what happens after you get the title back? Final closing. So that's Friday. So now I want to order that really quickly. I mean, I want to actually sometimes tell the attorney, right when I order the title back here on Monday, if there's an attorney or a title company working this deal for me, I'm going to tell them I'd like to close this thing on Friday. Okay, the goal, and what's really cool, is if you can get the deal closed by Friday, then the seller doesn't have another weekend to think about this house. And so you really want to get them in there. That's the final signing. That's when they sign the property over to you, the deed, and deed it over to you. So even if you're not getting it deeded over to you, even if you're just doing a sandwich lease purchase, they still go in for a signing and sign the property. Okay, so that's everything that up to the point where you're getting that final closing. Now we're done, right? We're done with the seller side. The seller has closed, the property is bought. Now what do I do? Now it's pretty house polish time. So now if I've been smart, what have I done? Way back here on the seller, as soon as I did my deal meeting, I called all, and it went successfully. I called my pretty house polish team. All right, so I called my pretty house polish team, so they're ready to go. And I might even tell them, hey, I'm going to try to close this Friday, so I'd like you to be in there on Saturday and do the pretty house polish. So what's entailed with the pretty house polish, guys? There's 6 people who help you with your pretty house polish. There's 6 people on your pretty house polish team. And they are, and this is your normal, the normal upgrades, improvements, cleanup, polish that you need to do on most houses. Anything that's been a rental. And you're buying a lot of properties that were former rentals. A lot of times you buy a property from a landlord. So when a tenant moves out, it's going to probably need a polish. Doesn't need a big rehab. Doesn't need new plumbing, a new roof. Doesn't need exterior paint, stuff like that. Usually not. But here's what it does need. This is your pretty house polish team. First of all, you're going to need an interior painter. Somebody who can paint the inside of the house. A lot of houses need that, especially if there's a smoker in there or pets or whatever. Plus, it just smells nice. It smells new. You're almost always going to paint, and it's not too expensive usually. Then flooring. You need a flooring contractor. So a flooring contractor, someone who can do cheap luxury vinyl plank, which is very popular right now. People call it LVP. It looks good and it lasts pretty well so long as they don't scrape heavy furniture across it. So always give them a pack of footy pads when you have people move into your properties, when you have luxury vinyl plank in there. So that's a flooring contractor. Then you need a countertop installer and somebody who gets good deals on granite. Granite is preferable. Everybody likes granite countertops. And then the 4th person is a landscaper. So you for sure need a landscaper. You're always going to need, for this pretty house polish here, you're always going to need a landscaper to clean up the property. Both front and back, but especially the front, and maybe even put in some pretty little flowers or something to stage up the front and give it good, what are we talking about? Curb appeal. What do we always talk about? Curb appeal. Okay, so that's the main 4 team. Then you're always going to need a handyman and a cleaners. So handyman and cleaners you're going to use all the time, even when you don't need to do a pretty house polish. There's always something that needs to get fixed. A faucet here or a light switch there or something like that. So you always have your handyman and you always need a cleaner. So those are the crew that takes over during your pretty house polish. So that's your pretty house polish crew. Now, how long is that going to take them? Well, hopefully, maybe 2 or 3 days. Remember, according to our example here, this is Saturday. They're going in there on Saturday after we've done the final closing on Friday. So they're going in there Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and hopefully getting it all done. The whole crew, if it even has to be done, and so it might not be everybody, but that's why I want you to call them down there after you do the deal meeting and tell them, hey, I'm going to need you next weekend. Now it's all polished up. Now what happens? Okay. After it's all polished up, then it comes time to stage the property. Okay. So we are going to stage it. There's 3 things that happen here. We stage it up. So, and you don't need some massive staging kit. What do you need? You need, I'm not going to go through the whole 6 P's of staging, but mostly it's pictures, plants, pillows, plugins to make it smell good, plates, and pots. So those are the things, little teapots and decorative pots and plants, pictures on the wall. You don't need furniture or anything, but that's your staging kit. So you put the staging kit in there, take pictures. Now, if you have really good Zillow pictures from before, you can use the Zillow pictures from before. It might not look exactly the same, but if they have nice furniture and it looks good and you can't get pictures like that, and you have, if they have better pictures, use the better pictures is what I'm saying. And then post it. And you're going to post it for sure on Zillow, and you're going to post it everywhere else you can think of, including Craigslist and other Trulia, Zillow and Trulia are together. You're going to post it everywhere you can think of to get it out there to the most people possible. Okay, now you're going to start getting calls instantly because in the ad you're going to put, Beautiful rent-to-own home, great rent-to-own home, bad credit, okay. So you're going to get a ton of calls from people because everybody wants to see good credit now from renters. So it's hard to find a place to rent or a house to move into when you have rough credit. So you're going to stage it up, take your pictures, post it, and then during this period, this is like your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, where you're going to start getting these calls from buyers. So you're going to take those buyer calls. I want you to take them, and tell people in one of our systems, guys, we have this one system called the 1 hour home sales system. And that teaches you this end of the business and teaches you how to sell with the 1 hour sale. And it actually goes through all the scripts and all the calls and all the steps here at the end, what you do with the buyers. And there's actually something called a buyer response system in there. Depending on what the buyer says, what you do. Okay, so now if the buyer says, hey, if you say, how much can you put down? What's the most you can put down on your beautiful new home? And they say, oh, I have, $20,000. What are you going to say? Now, what category, what level? There's 4 levels of buyer, okay, in the system. And so that level of buyer is level 4. Level 4 is, urgency, code alert, get out there. So that the response to a level 4 buyer is, I'm about a half hour from the house, are you close? Can I meet you there? And take it to the next level. You do not wait and say, I'll meet you at the open house. Okay, so that's a person you go and meet. Now, there's plenty of people who will not have a lot down, under 5,000, and you'll just say, hey, come to the great open house. It's going to be awesome. And at the open house, you pick up your NROD. This is why this is 16 days to a big payday, like we talk about. This is day 16, Saturday. If you bought it Friday, down on that end. Okay, so you're holding your open house and you're sending all the people there. You may actually pick up a big check before 16 days because someone might call and you might go meet them at the house and say, you're the winner. Okay, now still have the open house because you want to do what? Build your buyers list. So if you have not found your winner up till the open house, then they're going to show up at the open house and you're going to work with them and pre-screen them quickly, find the ones with the most down payment and close one of them. And then all the rest of them will be on your buyers list. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in on this, guys. That's the whole schlemiel. That's the whole shoot match here on how you do this deal. It's all the important steps to this deal, and I want you guys to take a picture. I'm going to give you a picture of the screen here. So that's the whole thing. If you didn't get a chance to take a picture of it, there you go. Whoops, it's a little too close. Okay, so get a picture of that, guys. I want you to follow that and be confident that you know what you're doing and you're going to be able to close the deal all the way from start to finish. Now, it's going to take a little understanding of scripts and a little understanding of the steps, these different steps, to get a little bit of clarity. And thank you guys for all showing up today, Mike and Isabel and Doris and Lori and everybody. It's great to see you guys. I love doing these teaching sessions in the studio. And so I'm going to start doing these probably a little bit more because I think they're really valuable and you can get a lot out of these kind of training sessions when I'm going over stuff on the whiteboard. So I really like doing the whiteboard. So I'm going to probably be making special whiteboards sometimes and going through some of our great training that we do at some of our events here in the studio. So that's what I want you guys to do is follow this timeline for success. Again, you can see it's not complicated. There's not a lot of steps that are that difficult that you would have trouble with. You just got to know what they are and know the steps and know the scripts. Now, remember, every one of these steps is you find it where? In the what to do manual under the creative financing step-by-step checklist. So this is on one sheet of paper. It's like 35 items because there's some of these are more detailed. I give a little bit more detail to the staging and the pictures and the posting and all that stuff. So there's actually 35 steps to this process here. And so I want you to get very familiar with that. That is your guide to success. That's your guide to closing these type of deals, these cash flowing seller financing pre-funded deals, which we love. And they're out there now more in abundance than they have been in many years. So take a lot of action, find these properties, start getting some marketing out there. Tell everybody you know that you pay $1,000 if they send you a seller or buyer that you help. Start really building your referral network. Start working with realtors. Realtors are bringing us some great deals right now. So there's a lot of ways to start making money and getting these deals in action. And there's 16 days to maybe $20,000 in your pocket, and maybe even faster, depending on how it goes. And it starts with you picking up the phone and talking to a seller. I remember one of the best deals we ever did that we ended up making over $700,000 when you counted all the income streams. And it started with a phone call to Brandon and Shelly. I called Brandon and Shelly. Hi guys, you see your house is for sale. What can we do? And it started with that. And 20 years later, or whatever, we made 700 over 700,000. So that's the beauty of these cash flowing deals. 16 days to buy them, maybe less, and to sell them, to turn them around. I mean, you're not just buying them, you're buying them, fixing them up, getting them ready, and putting a beautiful person in there and getting a big check. So it's a great timeline. I want you to be really familiar with this because this is the core of the business. When you understand this and you understand the 2.5-page seller financing closing call, if you just understood this business is not complicated. We tend to overcomplicate it. But if you just understand this timeline I just went over, and you read that 2.5-page seller financing closing call script and get good at it, this business, there's not a lot more to it than that. Okay. So, boy, just focus this year, and I really want to see you living your dream life by the end of this year, and quitting your job if that's what you want, and having the things in your life that you really want. So it starts with getting on the phone, talking to these sellers, and making it happen. So that's what we're going to do. Our affirmation for today is I'm going to apply the timeline. Okay, let's just do, I'm going to apply the timeline. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to apply the timeline. I'm going to apply the timeline. I'm going to apply the timeline. Okay, not the greatest affirmation I ever came up with, but you're going to apply this timeline as many times as you can. If you do this timeline 10 times this year, you're going to make a lot of money in this business. Even 5 times. Even if you just went through this timeline 5 times, it starts with 5 phone calls. So again, I want you talking about 10 sellers a week. So any one of them could get on this timeline immediately. All right, so now we like to do our deep breathing. Okay, so let's take a nice deep breath in. Hold it a little bit, and okay, next deep breath in. It feels kind of funny in the studio. Deep breath in. Hold it a little bit, and always a huge smile. I focused on that the last 2 days of making sure I had a smile on my face before I got out of bed. Always try to do that. Nice deep breath in. Good job. Big smile. Relax your shoulders and your neck. Great job. All right, guys. So apply the timeline. Let's start doing lots of these creative financing pre-funded deals. Stay in touch with us. Anything you need, just call us at 888-RICH-NOW, and we can help you with these deals. Check out the Home Investing Academy, but, give me a little bit more time because I'm revolutionizing that, and that's going to be some great education. And I'm even updating all the great systems you may already have, like the what to say and what to do system. So I will be talking to you tomorrow, same time and this same place. And I always love doing these. Till I talk to you tomorrow, keep expecting success, getting the best training, and of course,